Well, hey there. I'm Pastor Cody.
And I'm Pastor Matt.
And we're here to have a conversation.
Yes, we
on
are.
this Thursday.
Shall we converse?
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. If it is your first time listening, this kind of serves as a sermon companion to what he preaches on a Sunday, and we have a conversation to talk about it during the week for your enjoyment and your enlightenment. Because we're going to enlighten you.
Yeah, we are.
Yep.
As we are enlightened in this moment ourselves.
Yes. And so what we do is we take a dive into his message, which is linked in the description above or in the description of what you're listening to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever. Feel free to leave us a rating. That helps a ton. I actually just figured out how to leave ratings on Spotify this past week. So I rated us 5 stars, of course.
Good for you.
You know,
how do you do that?
I honestly, I just was like,
remember?
oh, there's a button that says rate.
Cool.
But I don't know where I found it. But please do that wherever you listen. But this week we are talking about your message. This is our Ruth, Decisively Loyal series. And we are in the 3rd week, the 3rd out of 4 weeks. So we're almost done. Man. And boy, let's talk about them feet, though.
Oh, the feet, though.
The feet. Yeah, that is
it's been good.
That's a big part of this passage here. But that's where we're at. If you want to catch up, we have the rest of the series and the rest of these conversations on our YouTube channel and on our website.
Check it out.
Check it out. Please do.
Yeah.
So, man, but I've enjoyed it so far. It's been really good.
Yeah, me too.
Really good series.
Mm-hmm.
Any ideas where we're going next?
Yeah, I know. Oh, like book-wise. I'm like, I know where I'm going this Sunday. That's about it.
Yeah.
Should I even say it? I mean, I think that Genesis would be fun.
I've been thinking that. I think
Really?
it's great. Yeah.
I started
love me some Genesis.
I started that John Walton book.
Which one?
The Lost World.
Lost World of Genesis 1?
Yeah, I think that's the title. I could be
really
saying
good.
it wrong.
So he has a couple of those. There's a Lost World of Genesis 1, Lost World of the Flood.
Yeah.
I'm actually finishing Lost World of the Flood right now. I've got like 20 minutes left.
Is it good?
It's really good. Honestly, it's on the tail end of like a couple of bad books that I just have not enjoyed very much.
Yeah.
And I started this one, and within like 5 minutes, I was like, this is going to be a good read. I've come
That's
to
awesome.
appreciate him a lot, and I think he wrote it with Tremper Longman, maybe. But it's a good book either way. Go read that.
My thought of doing it was like, I think it would be fun to kind of study it right now. And so it's it's more of a selfish thing. Like, man, I'm really just into ancient cosmology and reading into some of those things. And I thought, that would be fun to just launch into Genesis 1, and that would it would afford me more time to do so. But I don't know. I've also enjoyed this little bit of
chunks at a time.
Old Testament,
because if you do Genesis, I mean, it's going to take you.
We'll be there all year
for sure.
Plus some.
Ooh, that'd be really cool though.
Yeah.
A year of beginnings.
I know. Yeah, I thought about that. That would be fun. There would be no end in sight for a long time.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's that, and there's so many stories. I mean, it would be fun. But I think at the rate we were moving, I'd have to slow it down. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those ones where you just put it in low for a while and you just kind of cruise through.
Low and slow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put her in 4 low and just chug along.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. I thought about like the opposite end of the spectrum. I've been thinking about Romans because I've never done that.
Boy, that would get deep real quick.
Yeah, and I'm just not. Well, we've been talking about studying evangelism more for our, getting our church into evangelism.
Yeah,
and doing evangelism trainings on Wednesday nights. And I think that if we dug into Romans, we could really. And I don't know that I would go so deep, but deep enough that would give us just a better context for the gospel. And so I think that there would be a ton of value in going to the book of Romans.
Agreed.
So I don't know. Those are just some of the things I've been thinking. Revelation would be fun, just to kind
You're
of
brave.
Well, it would not look like what it would have once looked like.
Yeah.
And I think that would put people at ease right now, like in this season and in this scenario that everybody's like, everything's the mark of the beast,
Oh my gosh. It makes me so mad.
Yeah, I think
I literally just got a spam message yesterday, and not even a spam message. Like the person addressed me by my first name, and the rest of it was copy and pasted. But it was like, Revelation 6:4 is going to be fulfilled in the war with Iran that's coming, and believers need to get ready. And it wasn't even somebody on my friends list. It was like a mutual. We have share a mutual friend.
Yeah.
Who's guess what circle they're affiliated with.
Of
but
course.
right.
Of course. Yeah.
But I was like, wow, this guy like really believes what he believes, and that he is messaging friends of his friends
Yeah.
to send this stuff out there. Like,
Yeah.
and
It's
and
a thing.
It's just bunk.
Yeah.
And of course, there's like I didn't even read all of it, but it's like a random like picture of Osama bin Laden like sandwiched in there, just like a ton, just junk. So I don't
Probably something in there too about the Baptists have always been the ones preaching,
Right.
the repentance that's needed.
Let me go ahead and turn my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah, way to go. And then like a clip or like then a verse about John the Baptist in the Bible.
Right. We've always been right. See right there, that guy,
Exactly.
John the Baptizer.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Those are my favorite. But
Wow.
I think like those are just some of the things going through my head.
Mhm.
And not that any of them would be like groundbreaking and revolutionary, but they would be like.
I do think Genesis would be groundbreaking because
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
true.
like so many people just do not have
I
the
should
proper.
clarify. I don't mean like the teaching, my perspective on it. Not to say that like here's the point of view that's going to make the difference, because I would be very neutral on a lot of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At this season in my ministry,
Mhm.
But anyway, that's kind of more of what I meant.
Yeah.
Like not that I would be like, oh, here it is, here's the answer. It would
Right.
be like, oh, here's some food for thought. People,
Right.
oh,
Well, I think on either end of it, you have, I feel like Genesis, specifically Genesis 1 through
Yeah.
7, people just have these, we keep like a Sunday school mindset with these
Yeah.
things, and anything beyond that is like, that's really interesting.
yeah,
And Genesis 1 through 11 is just wild in all senses. So there's a lot there. And even,
Yeah.
Genesis 12 with Abraham's calling.
I think that the wisdom literature, I think it would be fun to do, like break up whatever series we're doing with like a chapter in wisdom literature, like to just talk about like even Proverbs. Like if we just said here's some anecdotal advice within a
Right.
message, just to kind of like break it up a
little bit.
things.
Tim Mackey pops out of nowhere like, actually, the whole Bible is wisdom literature.
My wife listened to a message of his about praying from the Psalms. Have you watched that? I think it was about Psalm 22.
No.
Yeah, she was really moved by it. I was
Really?
like, yeah, anything he writes.
Literally anything that
or
he puts out
teaches
is.
is
I don't know why he has
really
not
good.
written a book on anything yet.
He hasn't?
No, he has written 0 books,
Oh, that's interesting.
except for like the Bible Project's coffee table book
He's
that they
got a
put
lot of
out.
content. He
does.
could easily,
Does.
I'm sure.
I just don't think that he thinks that he's like the guy. Therefore, he probably shouldn't write books. But like, everything.
Well, the guy often thinks that he's not the guy.
Yeah, usually those
That's
are
a
the
good,
guys.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
It's a good sign. So he'll probably never write a book.
And
Anyway.
he will. He'll get to his probably 60s and 70s
Yeah.
and be like, okay, all right.
Well, I think
Here's all my manuscripts. Someone go do it.
Right. Well, he can. He's at this point. There's hundreds
So
of Bible
much.
Project episodes, hundreds
There's
of
so
videos.
much.
Well, not
Yeah.
hundreds of videos, but lots of videos.
Yeah.
But he'll probably, whenever they put an end to that project, if ever, or whenever he chooses to hand it off,
Yeah.
he'll probably be like, you know what, I could make a lot of money by writing one book, and just do that.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who is in ministry who
There are a
wouldn't
lot
buy
of
his
people
book.
who have no business writing books. They write books
That's
that people
true.
buy. So
That's very true.
Tim Mackey, of all people, would make good money
Yeah,
buying a book,
man.
writing
that
a
would
book.
Be awesome. Please write it, Tim.
Yeah. Mark Driscoll somewhere is like, yeah, just have your church buy like pallets of them and put them in a warehouse and pocket all that cash so it gets on the New York Times bestseller list.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. I read a book a day.
Wartime. Yeah, wartime.
And they're all mine.
I write a book and read a book every day right in here.
I read a book every day. It's Philemon.
Wait, I just wrote one. Somebody give me pen and paper. 10 staff members just right there with
Right.
pen and paper, write it down.
Oh, yeah.
Here, Pastor Mark. Yeah.
And then he gives
Jeez.
every single one of them the middle finger because that's how he is.
And then punches them once in the face. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
Well, let's jump in here. All right, well, let's jump back in here. So we got Ruth Decisively Loyal week 3. So we are in Ruth chapter 3. And once again, if you have not heard the message, it is in the link. And we also, the sermon notes that we are referencing, we publish them week to week, and they are in the description as well. And feel free to download them, re-preach them, whatever you'd like to do with them.
You don't want to do that.
Just
I
kidding.
mean, unless you want to. Whatever.
We'll have Facebook take your video down. But anyway.
Like ours just got flagged Sunday.
Right. Hey,
Jeez.
stuff happens. I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, why did they flag us? I was like, we haven't been flagged in like,
I know.
it's been forever. You know what's, well, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag because one of the tech overlords might hear me say it, but I think I've discovered a loophole with tracks for Facebook Live.
Really?
But, yeah.
Interesting.
So anyway, but let's talk about Ruth chapter 3. Give us a brief rundown of kind of leading into it and where we're heading with it, and we'll kind of dive in on some of the neat things here. Well, there's a lot. There's a lot here.
Picking up on like our Tim Mackey conversation earlier before we jump back in, it was like my wife watched the Ruth. She watched the Ruth Bible Project
The Book of
video.
Ruth.
Yeah, exactly. That was good. Yeah, that was really good.
It's almost like I've watched all of them.
Ruth. And I'm Tim. And I'm really good at Hebrew. And I can say Hebrew words right now. And this guy, John.
The guy, John, who's drawing the animation as we speak right now.
Anyway, my wife was like, I watched the Ruth Bible Project video, and she's like, he didn't go into any of that stuff you said. I said, which means it's probably what I said wasn't accurate. But honestly, it's, looking at the narrative, I said, that's a short video.
Right.
And
they give a good summary.
Yeah.
Usually.
And ultimately, like, it's so short, and the content.
Let's talk about the feet.
Right. Well, the content is so, like, to me, almost
I'm sorry, Tim. I love you
promiscuous.
so much. I would never
yeah.
disrespect you ever.
No, we love you.
Yeah. Continue.
Yeah, you can have all of the money in our bank accounts.
Yeah,
all of it for you, because you would do more with it for the gospel, because you're that good. Just in your thoughts, like not even in doing anything. Actually, your thought does more for the gospel than what we'll
Tim
ever
Mackey
do.
probably actually does read a book a day.
Yeah,
but doesn't say it.
Take that, Mark.
Be like Tim.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're like picking on Mark Driscoll today. Poor guy. He could care less.
Right.
Made that clear.
He's taking a money bath every night. Like, yeah, I don't care what y'all think.
I know. He lives in Arizona.
He's like, my severance package for a year is more than you'll make in like 7. So
more than you'll make ever in your life.
Right.
Yeah. I'm swimming in it literally in Israel. In Arizona right now with my 3 new Broncos. Oh my gosh. Anyway, who would buy a Ford Bronco?
Yeah,
I would not.
No.
Yeah.
I just think it's very overrated.
They look like a little Jeep Compass.
They do.
And
it
then
looks
it's like,
just like now they do have like an off-road package that looks pretty sweet that I think has a hard top that you can take off.
Yeah.
But unless you buy, it's like the equivalent.
Just buy a freaking Jeep.
Right. Well, right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't like Jeeps, but
I'm just saying if that's what you're gonna have, like I don't know.
They're trying to target the Jeep crowd, but there's like nobody has a cult-like following quite like the Jeep crowd. So they're not encroaching on that at all.
No, they're like, oh yeah, we'll pay extra and it will break down all the time. Love it. Yeah.
Right. And we won't even buy the extended warranty
we don't
from
even
Mopar.
care.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's I feel like buying the Bronco that looks like a Jeep Compass is like the equivalent of buying a V6 Mustang or the 4-cylinder EcoBoost. Like if you can't afford a Mustang, just don't buy a Mustang.
Don't buy a Mustang.
Right.
Yeah.
If you can't afford to at least get 8 cylinders and a muscle car, don't buy it.
Yeah.
Anyway, go buy a Tesla instead.
Yeah, I support Tesla for sure. Except that time I sold all my Tesla stock like an idiot.
I sold mine too.
Gosh,
I didn't have as much as you did.
Still kick myself. Anyway.
But still.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Sorry, your wife, the Ruth video.
Yeah, she's like, he didn't say any of that stuff that you said on Sunday. And I was like, look, it's, to be fair, that content is crazy. Like, the story's nuts. And so if you've not read Ruth chapter 3, go read it. And I felt like I did my best to kind of like, give and present what it is and what I think it is. There's going to be so many varying opinions out there depending on what commentary you read and what perspective they're coming from, but it's clear that I think my opinion, it's very clear that the narrator is skilled, whoever's writing this, whether it's Samuel or what do you think? Who do you think wrote it?
I don't know. Probably somebody we'll never know. Yeah. My opinion.
Some think it's Samuel, something
and then, whoever wrote it and then whoever I'm sure it was edited multiple times throughout the history of its existence. And who knows how many hands touched it by the time we have its final form today. I have no idea.
But it's clear that their skill in presenting this story with what details were put in and what was left out, and then what was, for the imagination, like what was left for the imagination. I think that the ancient reader knew exactly what this author, what the narrator it was getting at.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're just trying to piece that together. What exactly is he trying to get to? And you have to get to chapter 4
to get the overall point.
Yeah.
And I think really that for me is where interpretively, chapter 4 makes it very clear the intent of the book.
That's right.
And as long as you arrive at that conclusion, there's some room to play in between,
What you did there. But anyway,
but there's some room to uncover some folks' feet and, let the wind blow where it does.
Let it blow at midnight. But I think that for me, I had to just for sake of the way we do church today, I had to be we're stopping here. We're going to talk about it and draw an application, because I think an application is important. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we drew an application. We told
we
the story.
drew it just like Tim draws in his cool
just
videos.
Just like Tim, yeah.
In a much better way.
Yeah.
That we do. I meant to say we draw in a much, but whatever.
Yeah, moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Moving on.
So I thought it was, you kind of start off the story, Ruth, which once again, this is kind of an example of Ruth really.
I know you weren't here Sunday. Did you listen to it?
I did. Yeah, I listened
wow.
to it. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
What'd you think?
I do go to church here. I thought it was really good.
We were at teen camp.
Yeah, we went to teen camp. Yeah. And boy, that was awesome.
Yeah.
For all of you who sent your teenagers, thank you so much. I hope they all had a great time.
Yeah.
And I hope they all become warriors for Jesus at the end of the day. The end of today, because we're talking about that stuff again tonight.
That's right.
In our small group, because we're recording this on Wednesday.
Are we baptizing them Sunday?
I don't think so. I got to get shirts and stuff and have some follow-up conversations.
Hey.
Follow-up conversations after this conversation.
Sounds good.
But, in the beginning, you kind of have another example of Ruth, showing that she honors the headship of Naomi again, where she's just like, look, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And, she probably in her mind ate those words a little bit in the beginning because she was like, oh, you'll do whatever I tell you. Well, here's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Insert Brooks and Dunn song reference. I loved that.
You like that one?
Yeah, that was good. If you missed that, you need to go back and listen to the message. It's worth the whole kit and caboodle.
Which one was that? I think I gave several.
It was an excerpt from Hillbilly Deluxe.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Was that the song?
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean.
It is. It's like the beginning of the song, like prior to the chorus and everything. But it was good. But she puts herself in a really vulnerable position, and kind of where you took that on a practical end, or at least my understanding, is that it's nice to be able to breathe normal on a podcast.
Yeah,
I'm reflecting on not being able to breathe a couple weeks ago.
COVID days.
Right. But just kind of
or whatever it was.
Whatever it was, it is gone, and I'm grateful. And to my knowledge, I gave it to no one else except my wife and baby.
It's terrible.
Yeah, or toddler, whatever the heck she is now. But
terrible or toddler,
both.
Whichever one that she is.
She is both. Now she says no to everything, even when she means yes. It's great.
I just love it.
But on a practical end, you took that and you were like, listen. Sometimes you got to go all in on stuff for anything to happen.
Yeah.
If you want a miracle, you got to put yourself in a situation where it's going to take a miracle to get you through to the end of it.
That's right. And that's exactly what she did. To me, it's the climax of the story the narrator is telling of her literally doing everything in her power. Mm-hmm. And so that's really where and he's a genius when he gets to chapter 4 and Ruth and Naomi don't even speak. Mm-hmm. Right. And so it's like literally they reached the end of what they could do. And then Boaz takes over, and I'm really, really pumped to preach the message on Sunday. But before you get there, you have to see that the Lord called them to those hard things first. He called them to, those places of desperation that were fueled by faith. And I think that, so often, my shoe, so often we go, we say go hard in the paint here at Bethlehem, but we go hard in the wrong areas. We take those steps and we take risks where, the enemy just gains an advantage. But yet we don't take those those risks and do those things in, the areas that the Lord says, look, I'm just waiting on you to act. I'm waiting on you to give me the benefit of the doubt that I'm going to come through for you, and so then we continue to play it safe. We continue to, take another lap around the block instead of like going up to the house and knocking on the door proverbially and saying like, look, I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to deal with this relationship. I'm going to deal with this job or with this thing, whatever it is. Like the Lord is wanting us to make a move. He really is, to go all in.
And for those of you who are passive aggressive like I am, that's a challenge, And that
I
hit
think
me.
Personality does have a lot to do with it.
It does. And that hit me where I live, a little bit because I just tend to not like whatever,
Yeah, you have to push past.
We'll just work
zones.
around that,
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, let's, push out of your comfort zone. That kind of was the, the overall, like it's very clear that that's what happened in the story, and you can take that or leave it.
Well,
God bless you.
You can, yeah. Well, you can look at it.
I think I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah,
but
leave it right there. Leave it covered. But I think you can talk about like the scenario of the fact that she needed a Naomi. She made the decision to follow, and so whatever perspective you're looking at this, if you're to be the Ruth, you can't go at it alone. If you're to be the Naomi, you can't go at it alone. Like we need each other. The church needs each other, and we're called to do things in such a way that is gospel-centered, but are postured for a move for the Lord, and so that's selfless in so many ways. But I think there were just some really helpful, practical things, that we can look at from Boaz's perspective and from Ruth's perspective that will really help guide and shape what it looks like to go further for the Lord. And I think that maybe you were in church on Sunday, or maybe you're going to go back and listen to it, wherever you land in that and in the story. I think that you have to see it as just some practical steps that you can take to doing more in 2022, to doing more for the Lord in your life and in general. And know that for every step that you're thinking about taking, the devil has a counter. He has a balance to the move that you're going to make for the Lord. He's going to try to disrupt that. And so looking at from both sides of this, there was the risk of Ruth, but there was the resolve of Boaz. Man, that was good. So it's like whatever risk.
That was great on the fly.
Yeah, whatever risk that you're being challenged with, make sure that you're putting yourself in a position that will be met with resolve from the Lord on the other end. And I think it's a fair illustration to say resolve from the Lord from Boaz's end, and we're going to see that in chapter 4. The Lord is clearly working through Boaz. The Lord, he even says to her, Boaz's references, you're under the Lord's wing. When she is saying, hey, sexually, intimately, I want to be under your wing, Boaz is saying, no, you're already covered, sweetheart. And let me explain something to you that if this plays out, I will take you. This will go to the next level, but it's going to happen in the Lord's timing. And so we just talked about how if that had been Boaz, it could have been really bad.
Yeah, I mean,
really
think about the situation where you wake up and you're already feeling good because he had whatever he harvested from his vineyard. You know what I mean? And he wakes up to some woman who's probably 25 years younger than he is, at least. Easily. And she uncovers his feet, and he's like, oh, that's what you want. Oh, you got property. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, if he wasn't a good man, like, she could have been in a very bad situation.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have played out the same. So that really, what Naomi had said about Boaz ended up being very true, that he is indeed, he's just a good dude, and he, not just good in and of himself, but he was like, listen, the God that you are now choosing to follow is going to take care of this. And
100%.
Let's check about this first. And if not, then I'll still take care of you. But if not, then he will.
Yeah.
Just a very interesting spin there.
It is. And I think that the story is just second to none,
Mm-hmm.
The way that the whole thing comes together, the way the narrator is portraying it. But I think that, digging into some of those things, like listen to the message, look at the notes.
It sounds very promiscuous and that's because it is.
It is promiscuous.
It is. I think it's promiscuous in general, but I think it just sounds very, very much so in our Western context, because this is just not. It's not something that we do.
No, and I think for, just to be clear, what we're talking about is this wasn't as sexualized as,
as it seems,
as it would have been in a movie, or how we would, if this was some kind of weird Lifetime movie, and we talked about that on Sunday, like if it wasn't in that regard. I think Alex told me that first, like when he had read it. I think it was Alex, but he's like, this is like some kind of crazy Lifetime movie. Somebody did, if it wasn't him, but
yeah.
Anyway, but the point is like we look at it from that perspective only.
Yeah,
this was survival for her. This was absolutely survival.
If it was a Lifetime movie, she would have been like, engaged to Boaz, right? The rich, handsome guy,
right?
And then she goes back to Moab to like meet with her parents, and meets like some young farm boy,
right?
And ends up in love with him, and Boaz gets left at the altar.
This sounds like Hallmark, not Lifetime.
Oh yeah, it's Hallmark.
Yeah, you're off.
Never mind, I'm off base. But if Ruth was a Hallmark movie,
that's
mark my words. Hallmark my words. That would have been it. Anyway,
Lifetime would have been like she had a murder weapon underneath her, like underneath her dress. Right. If he didn't like,
forgive me, I don't have cable, so I don't have access to Lifetime movies.
Anyway, the portrayal of it, though, I think that we can't over contextualize for how we're seeing it and how we're perceiving it. This was clearly the hold on one second.
Hold up.
We'll be right back.
All right, sorry, we are back, and Pastor Ray and Miss Charlotte stopped by.
Yeah,
they've been out for she said 10 weeks.
It's a long time.
It's been a long time, but he's been undergoing radiation. So pray for Pastor Ray if you can. Yeah. But we just chatted with them for a couple minutes.
Stopped by.
Yeah,
so we got to.
Yep, she's knocking on the window.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well, it was good to see them.
Yeah, it was good to see them. But putting a bow on this conversation here, just. At the end of the story, there were a couple things at play on a practical level. And, basically, like Ruth was doing what she was doing under the instruction of Naomi. But the goal was not for her to be promiscuous, which is, kind of what it sounds like. But rather, they were seeking a family redeemer, which was a legal thing that they could do so that they could have, Ruth could have some sort of posterity again. She could have children. She could have land. And without those two things, she would have been destitute and poor indefinitely. And so, wanting to take advantage of the systems that are in play, not take advantage of, but utilize, I guess is a better word.
Yeah. Well, I think too, like you see the tension of, and this is going to get, and I made that very clear, right? Like there's tension in this story that's unresolved till next week.
Yep.
Which is this coming Sunday. So we stopped in chapter 3 and we talked about the application, which some people may disagree with me for doing that. But I think it's necessary, right, to see that in your life, you need to take it as far as you can take it. And then there's someone else, right, that's got another gear, and that's the Lord. And he's going to make the difference. Whereas she thought, of course, Naomi, right, that what you're going to do, the instruction I'm going to give you, it's going to work. It's got to work. It's the last thing that we can do, right? And then ultimately, when Boaz says, well, we have to check and see if the one who's next in line to be your kinsman redeemer, we have to see if he, is going to redeem you first. And if he doesn't, then I'll. And so that's kind of like something that I want to point out and maybe leave you with. And then, of course, all the tension will be resolved on Sunday when we finish the story. But know that what you think right now that might make all the difference in the world, it probably won't be the thing. But the Lord still wants you to do the thing. He still wants you to take that next step. He still wants you to go all in. He still wants you to say, look, this is for the sake of the gospel. I'm gonna go whatever it is for you in your life that the Lord is leading you to do. Know that if that thing doesn't work out, there's probably still going to be a season of waiting on the back end of that where the Lord is going to have to make the difference and come through, and know that he will. He always does, and that's what this story does. It portrays, the narrator is portraying that the people that are involved in the story are going to do everything that they can do, but there's someone else that's operating behind the scenes, just like in Esther. So I just want you to know that, like, whatever it is, that next step maybe that you are motivated to take, know that still might not be it. It still might not bring resolution. And so the very last verse in Ruth chapter 3 is, let's wait and see what he does. So understand that the Lord still can take it further and will take it further than you're able to take it, but it does require our faithfulness. And that tension that I see in the text is not where he's the overlord on everything and everything's predetermined, but more that he, in a sense of him predetermining and being sovereignly God, he allows us to make decisions, and he wants us to make decisions and do the right thing. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of maybe leave you with that thought as a hope of encouragement that maybe you've done and you're still in that season of waiting. Hey, it's okay. It's all right. The Lord will absolutely come through.
Yep. Well, I think that's a really good bow for this conversation right there. And that leaves some tension for our, the sermon this week and our conversation next week. So I'm looking forward to it.
Are we doing one next week? Because we're gonna be gone. I mean, we can for sure.
Well, I guess we can't have a conversation about Michael Crawford's message.
So many bleeps this episode, him telling people.
Well, hey, listen, we will. Man, that was good. It's a great ending to the episode. And, we will.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
We're just having a conversation. But either way, be there Sunday. Don't miss that. You won't want to miss.
Yeah.
And don't just settle for online. Be there in person if you can. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. But we will see you on Sunday. God bless. Do less.